Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben and this is the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. This episode is part of my US road trip series where I travel through several states competing at the Houston Worlds BBQ Championships and learning as much about barbecue as possible. The trip starts in Texas before going across to Louisiana and then up into Arkansas. It was a hell of a trip and I'm so excited to be able to share it with you. Before we get into it, I want to invite you to come join us at the Smoking Hot Confessions community on Facebook. It's a great place to continue the conversation. Also, make sure you get your free copy of my ebook, 27 Lessons Learned from Competition Barbecue. Jump on over to smokinghotconfessions.com/ebooks to get your copy now. Finally, however you listen to this episode, please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. This will really help me spread that barbecue love. Let's get into it, folks. For our final episode recorded live at the Worlds BBQ Championships, I hit the pavement to catch some interesting conversations with some interesting characters. Now, this was a long festival. We arrived to start setup on the Wednesday and it was all done and dusted on the Saturday night. So, as you can imagine, the longer I spent hanging out with people, the more I learned about them. I was also able to network with a lot of new people, which led to some of the upcoming episodes later in the series. And I even managed to catch up with my buddy Chris, who first invited me to the Worlds BBQ Championships 3 years ago. Check it out.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Make no mistake, beef is king. Ask any competitor on the circuit and the trophy they want most of all is the brisket. And you won't find better brisket than Black Angus Reserve. Black Angus Reserve is the leading brisket brand in Australia and it's easy to see why. It's verified Black Angus, which has been grain-fed for a minimum of 150 days, with a deliciously high marbling content. These briskets are so good that Black Angus Reserve are willing to put their money where their mouth is. They sponsor multiple Grand Champion winning team Manning Valley Natural Smokers, who've won many trophies using their briskets. Not just that, but Manning Valley took these briskets to the World's BBQ Championships in Houston and took out second place in the world. To get yours, hit up their Black Angus Reserve page on Facebook now. Folks, I'm very excited. I've been wandering around and I've managed to track down Craig V Hager from the Barbecue Ninja. Now, he's a great fan of Australia. He's right into his Australian barbecue scene. He's a member of a whole bunch of groups over there and he's here and he's going to have a few words with me now. How you going today, Craig?
Doing great, Ben, man. I tell you, this is a wonderful event here in Houston, and I came here for the first time last year, and just totally blown away by the cookers, the structures here. I mean, they just do everything bigger in Texas.
You're absolutely right. I am just blown away by the differences in, say, we're looking at a Hawaiian-themed, and that's just the competition tent. Now, at home, we have 3x3 or 3x6 meter, just little marquees. That is insane. Like, this is, how long would you say that is?
In yards, which we speak for here, I did learn the difference, our system is, you do the metric, and that's probably, 40 yards long, 30 to 40 yards long, and these booths here are just enormous. I mean, they have a lot of good sponsors here, and they do everything big here, and this is just a great event to come out and to enjoy, for sure.
Beautiful. So tell me what you're up to today.
We got a hog cooking on the Old Hickory CTODW. We're gonna serve it tonight at 6 o'clock. We prepped that hog yesterday, probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We got it on about 6 o'clock last night. So we're cooking these hogs. They're about 170-pound hogs. We're cooking them for, right at 24 hours. So that's what we're going to serve tonight. And we served another one last night. So we did the same thing. We served the one last night running style. It's just more of a, it looks like it's running, and we do that. They had a big party in here, and a lot of that's for the shock and awe of a whole hog sitting up on that table looking like it's running at the people when they come through the door. You know, the first thing they do is come through the door and they see that hog and they stop and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, and then they got to take pictures and they see it. And actually the one we got on there right now, it's a cavity up hog. It's laid open, and you know, we're just cooking it a different style to show the versatility of this Old Hickory pit, and it'll have more bark because the hams will be exposed, the front shoulders will be exposed, and the ribs and everything else. So that's what we're doing for tonight.
Mate, that sounds fantastic. Now, whole hog is a category that's just come in recently in the last sort of 12 months or so in Australia. What tips would you have for Australian listeners that are looking at getting into some whole hog stuff?
Well, you know, it's going to be getting the right pit, and it's going to be also, you know, figuring out what style of hog you want to cook, and then being consistent with it, you know, and don't cook it too long and don't cook it too short. You know, a hog is, with the fat content on it, it does hold well, but you got to get the loins moist, you got to get the tenderloins moist along with the ham. You know, it's a lot to get right at the right time. So just be patient with it. Don't push it.
That's beautiful. Now, who are you tipping who's going to take this out this weekend?
I tell you what, with the new format of it, where every team having to cook chicken, you know, every team having to cook brisket and rib, and it's a cumulative of the three, I'm going to put my money on Smoking Hot Smart Fires. That's who I'm putting my money on. I've called Vegas. Smoking Hot Smart Fires is taking this.
Well, thank you very much for your time, mate, and trust me, I got my fingers crossed for that too.
Thanks, I enjoyed it, and good luck to y'all.
Folks, I am super excited. I'm standing here with Martin Gonzales from the Hospitality Committee, and he has just told me the most amazing stories, and I'm going to get him to just to tell us a bit more about it again now. So first of all, mate, welcome to the show. Welcome to Smoking Hot Confessions, and how are you enjoying the festival?
Oh, excellent. I love it every year. I've been doing this for years.
How many years have you been doing it for?
In a committee, I've been doing it for almost 15 years, but I live here in Houston, so I come to the rodeo or barbecue off every year. Hospitality, of course, I've been doing the stuff with helping the people bring their horses in for the shows, and we have a committee of 50 people that me and, of course, my buddy Chuck has his pit here, cook for 50 people, 8 hours a day, and then after our 3 days of committee work, we enjoy the shows because we, as committee members, get in to go to the show with the guests free.
Mate, that's fantastic. So you cook 3 meals a day for 3 days for 50 people?
Yes, it's exciting. We do collection before the rodeo starts, and we probably do about, I want to say, from 400 to 500 pounds of meat in 3 days to help, you know, feed all our committee members as they work for their 8-hour shifts.
Mate, that's amazing. That's truly some good work that you're doing there. So the hospitality community, what does the hospitality community, what are they responsible for here?
Our committee supports all the exhibitors that come in with their trailers and horses. A lot of them come in from out of state, definitely out of town, but out of state, and they've traveled a long way. So we're pretty much the first line of who they meet when we get here. So we do the vet paper check-ins for their horses, make sure their trailers are checked in, then we do a stall assignment. And then we have tractor drivers go to their trailer, unload all their equipment, so all they have to do is walk their horse in, and we take their trailer to their stall. And they do their exhibit, they check out, finish their show, and then we go back, they tell us where they're at, and we go get their equipment, take it back to their trailer once they bring the trailer in.
Mate, that's fascinating. So throughout the duration of this festival, how many horses are we talking about?
Well, it depends on what show it is. They have different shows on horse shows, and this is not part of the rodeo, it's part of the arena back in the back over here, which right now they have the cutting horses going. They have one called the Ranch Rodeo. They have the Junior Barrel Racing. They have one that's called the Ride and Shoot. The Ranch Rodeo is extremely fun to watch, to see how these guys actually work in a ranch to either vaccinate or brand their cattle. In our team, we have 1,000 people because our hospitality starts from the very beginning of the show and work 24 hours. So we have 3 shifts every day, working 24 hours a day during the whole rodeo shows.
Mate, that sounds amazing. Now, I just got to pick up on something that you said before. You mentioned a ride and shoot. Now, we don't have a whole lot of guns in Australia, so for us, that's a pretty wild concept. What's that all about?
They have these guns that are kind of mimic a 45, but it shoots out little pellets, and they have little balloons on stands. So they go through certain obstacle courses, and they have 2 6-gun shooters, and they'll shoot the balloons as they're riding, switch guns, come back to the same course, and shoot those balloons out on a timing scale. They try to do the best time without missing a balloon while they're going through there. It's really interesting to watch.
Mate, that's amazing. That just sounds like literally a cowboy show.
Yes, it is definitely a cowboy show. The guns are loud enough to get your attention when you're in there, but there's nothing that's going to hurt the audience or nothing that's going to hurt anybody close by. It's really made to just shoot that balloon out. It's really fun to watch. To see how these people have these horses trained not to be startled by the guns, and speed time on their horses going through the obstacle courses. They set different obstacle courses up for every different event for the ride and shoot.
Mate, I got to go check that out. Now, something else you mentioned before that I wanted to ask you about was you mentioned some of the community involvement work that you do with scholarships and whatnot through this organization. Can you tell me a bit about that?
The whole rodeo is based on raising scholarship funds for kids going to college. Every year we raise enough to, I can't tell you the number of people they send out, but it's over 27 million a year that's donated for scholarship funds after you apply. Some people don't know that it's even out there. Some people, by word of mouth, figure it out, get their scholarships, and get to go to school if they don't have the money to go to college, you know?
That is an absolutely incredible story, mate. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for filling me in on it all.
Not a problem. Anytime. I'm glad y'all are here, and I hope you'll have a good good luck tomorrow on y'all's barbecue.
Thank you very much.
Hey, this is Stan Hayes with Operation Barbecue Relief, and you're listening to Smoking Hot Confessions.
There's a famous Australian song that says, "From little things, big things grow," and that's certainly true for Morgan, the wizard behind Wyld Smoke BBQ Seasoning. Born and raised in the farming areas of the Brisbane Valley with parents who raised him to uphold the true paddock-to-plate philosophy, it all started with his mother's recipe for how to make bacon. The Wyld Smoke online shop now sports almost a dozen products, including 2 very exciting new rubs developed in conjunction with top 20 barbecue competition team, the Smokin' Hot Bros. It's a 2-parter. There's the Bull Dust Rub, which is a purpose-designed competition brisket rub, and Vinegar X, a finishing dust, which is an Australian first. I've tried them and they are exceptional. To get your hands on some of these masterpieces, head on over to wildsmoke.com.au. That's wild with a Y. WYLDSMOKE.com.au. Hey folks, it's Saturday morning and it is Saturday morning. Yes, it's I'm losing track of time. It's Saturday morning. We're getting ready for all our final hand-ins. We've got chicken coming up, and then pork ribs, and then brisket. But I've managed to sneak a couple of minutes here with Morgan Lundin from the Swedish team, and his team name is Lingon and Dill. How you doing this morning, mate?
It's good. I'm good. A little bit tired, but it's fine.
And how's the Texas hospitality?
Oh, they're awesome. That's the best I've ever experienced. It's really, really good.
Have you had much of a chance to get around the festival here and have a look at the different sites?
Not really, because we try to focus on the competition and the products that we got here. We're not kind of used to them in Sweden. We can't get the St. Louis cut on the ribs, so we had to practice with that for a while.
Ah, fair enough. What's your most common cut of ribs in Sweden?
It's the baby back. The baby back ribs is the only cut we can get. And as I heard here from a lot of the volunteers, that nobody ever won with a baby back rib.
In that case, I'm glad we switched from baby backs to St. Louis as well, because we had bought a whole bunch of baby backs and then we switched them out for St. Louis just on a gut feeling.
Well, that's what I was told, that nobody ever won this competition with a baby back. And they also didn't allow it for 1 year. So we did a good choice then.
Yeah, fascinating. So what's the barbecue scene like in Sweden? Is it a big scene?
It's not that big, but it's growing. It's like 5 years ago that we got a barbecue association in Sweden, and ever since it's been a Swedish championship every year. So from 2013 up to now, it's growing. The scene is growing.
And did you need to qualify in one of those competitions to get the place here in the International Village?
What we did was that we won the Swedish championships, and because of that, the Swedish Barbecue Association, they gave us some money to go to the World Championships in Ireland, and we got 2 gold medals in homeland cooking and 1 in desserts. And this Barbecue Association here in the United States, they were reaching out to get some more international teams, so we got recommended that way.
Fantastic. What's homeland cooking?
Homeland cooking is a freestyle category where you're allowed to do like a dish from your home country. And we did a venison with lots of nice vegetables and stuff, so and a nice whiskey sauce with it. But the competition here is so different from the competition in Sweden and Europe, because here they don't use any vegetables or anything, but we do that in Sweden and Europe. So it's a bit different.
Right, so you actually put the vegetables in the box with your hand in?
Yeah, we do that. Usually in Sweden and also in the different countries in Europe, you have a side dish. So and usually you don't know what it is. So you get a secret box with vegetables from the ones who arrange the competition. And then they say, okay, with the pork shoulder, we want to have corn as a side dish, and then you can do whatever you want to do with the corn. Some just do the corn on the cob, and some make like maybe a stew with corn and stuff like that. So it's different kind of side dishes that we do with the food.
That sounds amazing. I wish we did more of that in Australia. So you did very well in the dessert dish yesterday. Can you give us a bit of a rundown on what you did for that?
Well, we did a chocolate sponge. Well, it was more like a mud cake, chocolate mud cake. So it was very creamy, and then we also caramelized bananas with sugar, and we put some rum in it, and then out of that we made like a cream that we filled this chocolate mud cake with, and we also piped some salted toffee into it. And then we covered it with like a chocolate glaze on top of that, because, well, United States, we thought like, okay, make it big, make it sweet. So that's what we did.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I saw some photos of it. It just looked amazing. Now you came, was it 3rd overall, I think?
No, we haven't. They haven't told us that yet. So it's today at 6:30 or 7. We will know if we're 3rd, 2nd, or 1st with it. But we're top 3 with it, with that dessert. So yeah, it's very exciting because we could actually go home with the first place.
Wouldn't that be incredible, mate? 250 teams, and just to be in the top 3 even, that's a fantastic achievement. So is that something that's regular on your restaurant menu back home?
No, what we did was we did some research before we came here, what the other teams have been doing all these years, and it's been a lot of pecan pies, cheesecakes and stuff like that. So we thought, okay, let's do something completely different that they've never seen before. So we wanted it to be, well, to stand out from what we thought everybody else was going to hand in. So that was the plan.
You've obviously done exactly that, mate, so well done. Now, of the 3 remaining hand-ins today, pork, chicken and brisket, what's your favourite?
We practiced a lot on the ribs, so we are really happy with what we've been practicing on. So we hope, that's our biggest hope, that we will do good on that one.
Well, mate, I got my fingers crossed for you, and I'll see you later on in the day.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, folks, we're getting to the pointy end now of the competition. We are. It's, what time is it now? It is 5:30. The awards are being announced at 6 o'clock, so I'm running around. I'm interviewing the last couple of people. There's a pair of nice big ice trucks that are just pulled up here right next to me as I'm about to chat to these 2 lovely fellas. So I'm talking to Todd and John from Half Fast Cookers. How's the competition been to you, fellas?
We've had a great time out here today. We got here about 6 o'clock this morning. We were here till about 2 o'clock in the morning last night, and we're having a great time doing all the cooking.
So did you actually leave for those 4 hours, or did you just sleep here?
Yeah, I took a cab home because I can't drive drunk. Slept for 3 hours, came back and started all over again this morning.
And how about you, John? How'd you go?
Well, we got our briskets on at midnight and put them on a smoker that would run them till about 6, 7 in the morning. And then when the next crew came in, they pulled them off and did the next stage for us. So we kind of tag teamed the briskets this morning.
Fantastic. Now, I understand a lot of teams here have been here for a really long time. So how long has Half Fast Cookers been here?
1978.
That's exactly right. So a lot of the guys that run the half-assed crew today, their dads actually started this thing back in the 70s. So there's a lot of history here, a lot of friends that have been together for years and years.
Wow, so that's 40 years of history for the Houston livestock rodeo competition. That's incredible. So what sort of track record do you have in those 40 years?
Well, we're pretty much just here to drink. And if we can win something, God willing, we're going to show up and do our best, but it's mostly for the beer.
So as a team, we've only been cooking with these guys for about 7 years now. And over those 7 years, the best we've done is 9th place chicken. And we've gotten into the top 10 the top 10 overall that same year. We got the 9th place chicken. So to date, that's our best representation so far.
Well, mate, out of 250 odd teams, that's a hell of an effort.
We were very pleased for that effort, and we were all celebrated a lot that night.
I have no doubt at all, no doubt at all. So of the 3 hand-ins that we've done today, what do you reckon has been your star?
Well, I think our ribs are number 1, and I think our chicken is number 2. The brisket, we had some technical issues with the process of the brisket, but I think it's gonna be in the middle of the pack. But I think our ribs are ringers this year.
That's great to hear. So what do you think Texan judges are looking for in ribs?
What the Texas judges are looking for is something that catches their eye. Like you said, 250 teams. We would typically not cook ribs the way we cook for the competition because we want that one bite to really stand out. So we'll spice it up a little bit more, go a little sweet, a little savory, have a nice pretty glaze on it for a presentation, and we really feel like that's the goal that we're trying to achieve, to catch that judge's eye.
I love it. So do you go like a particular Memphis style of rib? Because in Australia we have very set ideas on what style is what. So do you go for a bit of a Memphis style, or is there a particular Texas style to a rib?
Well, there's definitely a Texas style to a rib, although I don't think we're competing in a Texas style. Again, it's a challenge. It's a challenge in the competitions to stand out with one bite. So if I move back to our brisket, a Texas brisket is a very simple product. It is salt and pepper cooked over oak, for an hour and a half or an hour and a quarter per pound, and then you slice it and serve it with a savory sauce, not a very sweet sauce. That's not going to win competitions. These briskets out here, they're being injected, they're being soaked in Crown, they're being put through things that nobody would put them through because we have one shot to impress somebody with one bite on any of these items that are turned in. So I think it's hard to call a style on anything so much just because of what we're having to do to make the entries stand out.
Mate, that's awesome. So one of the things that we do in Australia that we didn't have to do here for this competition, which personally was a great relief, was we usually have to prepare a bed of parsley for the box to present the meat on. What do you think of that as a presentation idea?
Well, there are many cook-offs within the Texas area that require a presentation aspect of the box itself. Parsley, different decorations around the box. This particular show in general has none of that. I think that the most crazy thing you can do here is put tinfoil in your box, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and it can't hang out of the box. It's a very specific amount of tinfoil.
So when it comes to presentation in the box here, it just has to be clean. It has to look nice, and looks are a fairly small part of the overall aspect of the judging here. I think it's only like 5 points, if I'm not mistaken. So they're looking for is tenderness, taste, and smell as the more important aspects of what it is. Really the more purist style. How does the brisket taste? How does the ribs smell? How does that chicken? Is it tender? Is it juicy? Those kind of things are what they're really looking for.
That's really interesting that they include smell. Are you able to tell me the breakdown of the points allocated for that?
Well, I think that it's 10 points on everything except for looks, and looks is 5 points. But they want it to look like barbecue, so they want it to look like it's been on the smoke. they want it to smell like barbecue. They want to know that this hasn't been cooked in. You know, a lot of these cookers these days are very they're very industrial cookers. You know, it's not just being cooked over logs and stuff. They're using charcoal and electric burners, and there's a lot of tricks that are going in. And even one of the judges we talked to this evening said that of all of the things that she judged, she didn't have anything that wasn't good or great. And that the level of the game has stepped up so much. And so, you know, with all of the technology that's going into barbecue these days, they want it to still taste like barbecue, to still look like barbecue, to still be juicy and unctuous and flavorful, and to portray a clean barbecue, which is why they don't really want anybody to mess around with parsley beds or beds of onions or lettuce or anything. That's all superfluous, and it doesn't really affect what barbecue was really about, and that is just the flavor. Like, barbecue is not a pretty plate of food, but it is a beautiful plate of food.
Well, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you up on the stage very shortly.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on the clock. I'm on the countdown to the presentation awards, and I've managed to track down my good buddy Chris from Slow Cookers at Play. Chris is actually the guy that first ever told me about this competition 3 years ago. He reached out to me on Facebook and he said, mate, you've got to come to this competition. It's taken me 3 years to get here, but I've finally made it. Mate, it's so good to finally meet you in person.
It's nice to meet you. I'm glad you finally made it down here. It's been a long 3 years. So I've been joking with the wife, telling her I was big in Australia. She didn't believe me, and now, see, we got some facts.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, we're family now. So, yeah. So how long have you been coming here to the festival?
This is the 16th year that I've been cooking. It's the 6th year I've had my own team. Long time.
Yeah, definitely. I can tell that you've got a great setup here. Can you explain what goes into creating a setup like this?
First thing, a lot of sweat, blood, and tears. But the competition gets our official notice in about September, October every year. We actually start planning in May for the next year, and then continue through to collect sponsors to pay for all of this. And then the guys are out every week for 2 or 3 weeks straight lining up. We've got 12 other team members that help us to do the labor, and I've got a couple guys that'll cook at night, and then 1 or 2 of us that do all the competition cooking.
Wow. So just to fill the listeners in, you actually cook almost like catering, and you cook for the competition. So what's actually happening in your giant tent here?
The big difference, a regular competition, we'll just cook for the judges and maybe family. For this, I'm going to serve 600 people, and we're a small tent out here. So we'll serve 600 people plus the competition meat. So 9 kilograms, I don't know what that is, but in about 1,200, we'll do about 1,200 to 1,500 pounds of meat, 2 pallets of beer, a couple cases of wine. And for us, we think that's crazy. And we've got 1 spot. Some of these teams are 6. So I can't imagine what they're doing.
Yeah, I had a bit of a walk around last night, and things were definitely swinging. So what is the big difference then between the food that you serve for caterers and the food that you're serving for the judges?
So the food for the caterers is the basic same recipe, but the one difference is we really don't baby the meat like you would a competition. So the brisket is still the same basic dry rub, and it's still the same basic presentation, but when the smoker's got 40 briskets in it instead of 2, you just don't get the presentation. And it's probably the big reason competition cooks make poor restaurateurs, and restaurateurs make poor competition cooks, because it's just a different animal.
Very much so, yeah. So if we're talking Texas barbecue, what would be your, how do you approach chicken, for example?
If it's Texas barbecue, we approach chicken, the first thing we do is shake our head. It's not beef. But in general, the chicken, I'll tell you, it's my worst meat. I struggle with it. I discovered long ago that it's easy to do chicken, to cook it to be good. It's very difficult to cook it to be great for competition. So for that, we struggle with chicken.
Is there a particular style to Texas chicken as opposed to, say, a Memphis chicken?
I think all Texas barbecue is peppery. So it's especially here down in the southeast, you've got a lot of Cajun influence. down here, so there's a lot of cayenne in it. It's a little bit peppery. It's not as sweet, not as mustardy, not as much mustard in it. So, and you'll find that in most of all the meats, even our brisket and of course the beef will all have a pepper rub to it.
Mate, fantastic. Now, I can hear that there's people calling you out, and I can see the crowd lining up, so I'm going to have to let you go, and I'm going to say thanks very much, and I will catch up with you again before I go home.
All right, good day, man.
You're listening to the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. It's sacrilegious.
There's no arguing that low and slow barbecue is the hottest thing on the foodie scene right now. And if you've just opened up a new barbecue business or are thinking of doing so, you better listen up. Word of mouth can sink your fledgling barbecue empire before you've had a chance to get the last brisket out of the smoker. Serve bad barbecue within the barbecue community and the whole scene is going to hear about it. You need a coach, a mentor, someone with competition barbecue, commercial kitchen, and catering experience. You need Pitmaster Linda from Pitt's Perfect BBQ. Linda can help you with everything to do with smoking meat and more, such as menu options, advertising, minimizing wastage, pairing flavors, and even wood selection. Australia-wide, if you've got all the gear and no idea, reach out to Linda on her website at pitsperfectbbq.com. That's PITS perfectbbq.com.
Welcome. One of the things that makes me the most proud to be involved in the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is the fact that we publicly acknowledge and give praise and glory to our Father and Creator. So, gentlemen, if you will, remove your hats. It's my privilege to pray for us. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Thank you for your cover of protection as we've been here throughout the week. Father, we thank you for coming in, Jesus, over 2,000 years ago to just love us, guide us, teach us, accept us as your children, and most of all, forgive us of our sins so that we can live you forever. Father, we ask that you watch over our soldiers and sailors that are around the world, that are away from their families, to protect our freedoms. Father, we ask that you comfort their families while they're gone and keep them safe. We ask that you watch over our first responders as they go out each and every day to keep us safe. We ask that you bless our show leadership and just bless them with your grace and wisdom and inspiration to be able to just continue the work with the youth of Texas. We ask that you inspire us so that we can be a shining light for others to know you. Father, we just ask that we're always a blessing to others in your name and we're good stewards and good servants for you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Gentlemen, if you keep your hats on for a second, we're going to present our color guard, which will be followed by our national anthem, which is being sung by Lori St. Pay Whitfield.
from Fergie, huh?
I'm Australian with the hairs on my arms are up. I'm not even American. My arms are up.
Howdy, Houston! My name is Robert Becker, and I'm proud to be the chairman of the World Championship Barbecue Contest 45th edition. I am just thrilled to no end. I'm ready to give out some trophies. This year, we had the most participation of international teams ever. We had 7 international teams. I'd like to introduce them. Australia, Manning Valley Natural Smokers. Also from Australia, the Smoking Hot Smart Fires. From Ireland, My Meat Wagon. From Japan, Barbecue Shogun. From Sweden, Lincoln and Dill Barbecue Team. From the United Kingdom, British Bulldog Barbecue. And also from the UK, Red's True Barbecue. As many of you know, we have reciprocity agreements with several of the cooks around the country. Competing here in our Champions Corner this year, the 2017 Worlds Championship Barbecue Grand Champion, Iowa Smokey D's Barbecue. The American Royal Grand Champion, Corky Butts Barbecue. Barbecue Austin Double Barrel Cookers. Jack Daniels, Rocky Top Barbecue. And the San Antonio Barbecue Grand Champion, Buckshot Barbecue. So as you can tell, we are truly becoming a World's Championship Barbecue contest. Earlier today, we handed out banners for specialty trophies, for specialty judging. I'd like to recognize those teams. The runner-up, most colorful team, Over the Hill Gang. Most colorful team, Floyd Morrow and Larkin. Runner-up, most unique pit, Clifton Chevy Cookers. Most unique pit, Pit Boss. Go Texan runner-up, most colorful, Nueces County. Go Texan, most colorful team, Gridiron Cookers. The runner-up, cleanest team area, Floyd Morrow and Larkin. Cleanest team area, Houston First. Runner-up, best team skit, Bad Girls Gone Wild. And best team skit, Brazos County. And now the winners of our Dutch Oven Dessert Contest. This is an event that we started about 9 years ago. This year, we had 173 participants. And the winners of the Dutch Oven Contest are, third place, Smokin' Stokers. Second place, Dutch Oven Dessert, Comcast Business. Now the champion of the Dutch Oven Dessert Contest, Lincoln and Dill Barbecue Team. Now, for our 2018 Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Worlds Championship Barbecue finalists. Starting with chicken. Third place chicken, San Patricio County, Go Texas. Second place chicken, Madison County, Go Texas. for champion and chicken, the tumble in. All right, now ribs. Third place ribs. Operation Barbecue Relief. Second place ribs. British Bulldog Barbecue. Now champion in ribs, Guns N' Roses Cook Team. Brisket. Third place brisket. Steve's Cooking Team. All right, second place brisket. Manning Valley Natural Smokers. For champion and brisket, Buckshot Barbecue. All right, now we're going to move to the area Go Texan. Reserve champion Go Texan, B County. Grand champion, Go Texan, Jasper County. And now, 2018 Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Worlds Championship Barbecue Contest Top Awards. Reserve champion overall. Don't get crazy up here. Jasper County. Y'all want to take a break? All right, grand champion overall. Guns N' Roses Cook Team. Thank y'all so much for participation, coming out to support the youth and education in Texas. Looking forward to having everybody back for the 2019 edition of the World Championship Barbecue Contest. Now it's time to enjoy some good music. Thank y'all.
Well, family, thanks for stopping by. I'm sure you learned as much here as I did. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, and until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.